Welcome back to Yerushalmi. We are now learning Masechet Eruvin. Now, you may have come across Eruvin in the Bavli, and it's not an easy Masechet in the Bavli. And as far as say how it's the mix of the Rishuyos, it's like the worlds connecting together, and the Issur and the Heta, which are all mixed up, and their job is to separate the Kedusha. So Eruvin, of course, as well as Nida and Yavamas, they're all called the Oni Masechtas. They're very hard Masechtas. And we're coming to Yerushalmi Eruvin. Now, you might think, well, Eruvin's very hard, and Yerushalmi is very hard. Put them together, it must be really hard. But it's not, Rabbi Yisrael, because as you know, Yerushalmi doesn't go on such long tangents. The pieces are more shorter to understand. So just for some of the fundamentals of what Eruvin is all about, as I'm sure you're aware, we have 4 separate domains. You have the private domain, you have a public domain, it's like a street, you have a Karmelis, which has got rabbinical restrictions, and you have an exempt domain, like a Mokum Patur, which is not a private domain and not a public domain. Now, of course, we can't carry from the house to the street, we can't carry 4 amas in the street. As you know, Rishus HaYachid, a private domain, is surrounded by walls. Right? How many walls and how high the walls need to be, we will learn about that. They're surrounding an area at least of 4 by 4 tfachim and 10 tfachim high. You're going to have a mechitza. You're allowed to have entrances, of course. Sometimes entrances in the wrong places cause trouble, but the entrance in the right place is fine. We'll look at the walls, how the length of the walls in respect to the entrances. We'll speak about lavod, of course, where a space of less than 3 tfachim gets virtually connected. Yeah. We will talk about P-Tikra, where a roof is extending downwards virtually, which creates a wall, as it were. We'll talk about Tzuras HaPesach, which of course is an entrance looking like a doorway, with a stick and a rope on top. We'll come across all that. Yeah. We will also discuss a Movo and a Chatzah. Remember, they had houses around the courtyard, and then they had courtyards leading into the alleyways. So the Chatzah led into the Movo. And of course, they would have to connect all these. So the house is connected in the courtyard with Eruvin Chatzeros. They will join their various properties together with food and make a combined area, which is a common, unified area belonging to all those people. And then all the different courtyards would connect together to join together for the alleys, for the alleyways. So they're all joining into the alleyway, Shetufei Muvais. All the different courtyards would join along the Mavoi, and that's how they would make that into one area. That way they could carry from the house to the courtyard to the alley. And of course, the alley, which is maybe one end going into the street, that needs some sort of reminder to tell you don't carry into the street. So even though you've connected with the alley, you still need some sort of reminder. They used to have either a koira or lechi at one end, and you'd have maybe a Tzuras HaPesach as well. Yeah, depending on what the situation was, if it was open to the street on 2 sides or it was open to the street on 1 side. Yeah, remember that, Rabbi Yisai? Yeah, if it's open on 2 sides, you might have a Tzuras HaPesach on 1 side and a lechi or koira. Lechi is your stick going upright. Your koira is your board, or your board or your stick, and that's what you would have to close off. The koira might be the board on top of the walls. Whereas the lechi is your stick, is your pillar. And courtyards, you would close them off with these boards around the side, the pasim. Remember the picture of the well? Remember the animals drinking at the well? With all the boards going around? Yeah, so that's how you would close off all those areas, and that way you'd be allowed to carry. Of course, there's also dinim of Tchum Shabbos, 2,000 amas, and the dinim that come with that. Remember Kodesh Visa, where you put your area for Shabbos where you're going to be, by putting food down. These are the various topics that we will come across in due course. And I think with that, we can begin, Rabbi Yisai. We're up to Perek Rishon Alach Aleph, which is on page Aleph. Okay? So, Minat Torah, you are not allowed to take something 4 amas in the street. Various other Rishuyos, various other domains, you're also forbidden to do it. One of them is a sort of Movoi, which again is the alley, open into the street. It might be surrounded from 3 sides. Right, so Minat Torah is a private domain, but it's open into the street. So there's a gezerah, you can't carry that. Excuse me. And people will think, just like you can carry in the houses and so on, you can carry in the street. So therefore, they put two possibilities to allow you to carry that. One of them is a kaira along the entrance, a board, a stick going across the entrance, above the entrance, and also you've got various others. We'll see about the kaira and the lechi. So we start now. If this mavoi and the kaira you put on the entrance is higher than 20 amas from the ground, you have to lower that stick. So they should not be higher than 20 amas. Because as long as it's higher than 20 amas, it does not allow you to carry in that mavoi. Rabbi Yehuda said, you don't have to reduce it. Even if it's higher than 20 amas, it still allows you to carry. Now, there's also lechi, a pillar on the side. The din of 20 amas is with a kaira. Either people won't see it as one of the reasons, people won't notice it. So therefore they won't stop them. It's meant to be a reminder, careful, you're going into the street, don't carry in the street. So Rabbi Yehuda, however, says, no, you don't have to reduce it. If the entrance is wider than 10 amas, you have to reduce that entrance width, like extending the walls a bit of the entrance. But as long as it's too wide, it's not going to be helping, you won't be allowed to carry that. However, in Yesh Lo Tzuras Pesach, if you've made an entrance to that mother, you've made like a doorway, so you've got two sticks on two sides, and a stick going on top, like an entrance, like a doorway. It's got the two mezuzahs and the mashkov. Then even if it's wider than 10 amas, you don't have to reduce it, because Tzuras Pesach helps even wider than 10 amas. It's got a name of a door, right? Even if it's bigger than 10 amas, it's a proper mechitza. There's also, by the way, a shir, just like we said, it mustn't be above 10 amas, 20 amas, it also mustn't be below 10 tfachim from the ground. The kaira going across, because otherwise, again, you can't really get in there. Okay, so a mavo where the kaira going across the entrance is above 20 amas. Then according to the Tanakama, it doesn't allow it. Rabbi Yehuda allows it. Rabbi Yosef, he just said it without saying any names. Rabbi Acha b'shem Rav, he said, Rabbanan Yafillah. The Rabbanan, where do they get the share of 20 amas from? They learn it in Pesach Shel Heichal, from the entrance of the Heichal in the Beis Hamikdash, which was 20 amas high. That's the Mishnah in Midas. It's called Pesach. So they learn the height is 20 amas. It can still be called a Pesach. So as long as it's within 20 amas, it can be called the entrance is a Pesach. Rabbi Yehuda Yalef Lam Pesach HaUlam. He learns it from the building, the Ulam, that was the antechamber, which was before, in front of the Heichal in the Beis Hamikdash. He holds even Pesach HaUlam can also be called Pesach. Right? This also had the same Kedusha, according to Yehuda, as the Heichal and the Olam. And anything which could be done in the Olam and the Heichal could be done in the Ulam. So Pesach Olam can go on the Ulam as well. Now, so since he tells the Ulam door was much higher than 20 amas, so he learns therefore it can be higher than 20 and it's called a door. Now, if you're going to learn from Ulam, if you Pesach Ulam, then we should go 40 amas. That was the share of the entrance of the Ulam. The Tanina Tamba, we learned in Midas, Pesach Ulam, Gavaya Bayim Amara, Chaves Shemamba, 40 amas tall and 20 amas wide. So why, Tani Reb Chia, why did Reb Chia learn that Rabbi Yehuda allows even 40, 50 amas? And Tani Bar Kapara, he said Rabbi Yehuda allows even 100 amas. It can't be because of the Ulam, because the Ulam was 40. Why does he allow even higher than that? Rabbi said, Rabbi Yehuda Kedate. Rabbi Yehuda, according to his reasoning, based on what's said elsewhere, Rabbana Kedatim, and they're according to their reasoning. So Tanina Tamam, we've learnt elsewhere. V'chein Gesharim, this is coming up later on in Eruvin. V'chein Gesharim, you have a bridge which passes over a street. Hamfulashim, where the area under the bridge is part of the street and is open on two sides. There's no other walls, so the street just continues under the bridge. Metartlin tachtem b'Shabbos, did Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds you're allowed to carry under the bridge. Now, how many walls do you have under the bridge? You have two walls. But Rabbi Yehuda allows you to carry. He holds. Since there's a roof, it's considered as surrounded by walls because P-Tikra, the edge of the bridge, we bring it down virtually. And the edge of the bridge from this side and the bridge of the bridge on that side, It's going down, and the area under the bridge is considered surrounded by walls. The Chacham forbid you to carry under the bridge. They say we don't say pitikra v'yover. And that's also the root of the argument in our Mishnah. Just like Rabbi Yehuda said there, that Abraya es hatikra, kiri yoreda says, we imagine the side of the bridge extending downwards. Avhacha, so here as well, a mavoi. Why is it he allows you to carry? Because Abraya es maltira, we take that edge of that kaira, which remember goes across the entrance. We imagine it's virtually bringing it downwards. It closes off the entrance to the alleyway. It's considered closed from all four sides. And that's the reason of the kaira. That's the het of the kaira. So he holds it helps even when it's above 20. Because even this area you can still see it and it sort of virtually comes down. Now the Chachamim hold, we do not extend virtually the edge of the kaira as if it's closing down. They say, no, we don't do that. They say the kaira helps only when it's a hecker, when it's noticeable, and it's noticeable that there's separate domains. So they hold, when it's above 20, it can't allow carrying, because you don't see it when it's above 20. You see, that's the difference of the reason between them. So the Chachamim say, you need to see it, so it has to be below 20, and Rabbi Yehuda says, no, it extends downwards, and it's closed off your area. Now, just like they have the argument in our Mishnah with a kaira, which is above 20, they also argue at the beginning of Sukkah, where the schach is above 20 hours. He darted in Rabbi Yehuda b'Sukkah, he darted b'Mavoi. He has the same opinions in the two subjects. And he darted in Rabbi b'Sukkah, he darted in Mavoi. They also have the same opinion, Chachamim, between Sukkah and Mavoi. So let's see. Just like Mavoi, the Chachamim said, right, above 20, pasul. It's not noticeable. So also with Sukkah, they paskin, if the schach is above 20, it's pasul. Because they hold, the chach needs to be noticeable, clearly, to remember the clouds of glory that were in the midbar. Yehuda holds that no, it doesn't need to be noticeable. He holds it helps, it's a din of mechitza, it's not a din of hecker, right? And therefore, the Torah did not require that the schach of the sukkah should be noticeable for everyone, and therefore Yehuda holds the kaira or the schach is kosher, even if it is above 20. Now then the Gemara says, although there may be the same ideas and opinions between the two subjects, but in other dinim there are differences. But like in other matters, sukkah and mavoi are not the same. Yesh dram shekshem sukkah, psulim b'mavoi, things are forbidden, kosher for sukkah, kosher for mavoi, and kshem mavoi, kosher for sukkah. Let's see. Dukranim, kesherim b'sukkah. So imagine, you put 4 poles on the 4 corners on your roof, and you made a schach on them. You put schach on top. So the sukkah is kosher even though there's no walls, because we say good asik mechizda. Remember, it's on the top of the house. Mm-hmm. So we imagine the house walls and the sukkah's on top, 4 poles, and we imagine the house extending upwards, the walls of the house extending upwards. Good asik mechizda, that's the walls extending upwards. And we imagine the walls of the house as if they're moving up and up until the schach. And you made walls for your sukkah. Whereas Pesulin, however, on the other hand, Pesulin, but Mavoi, that's not going to help you with a Mavoi. If you put a kaira on some sticks, which you stretched into the walls of the Mavoi, the kaira is puzzle. We don't imagine the walls of the Mavoi extending upwards, since the kaira needs to be exactly placed on the walls. But Tanike, we've also learned in a price about Sukkah. If you brought 4 poles, put schach on them, the sukkah, it's kashera. But if you do it b'mavoi, you put them on put a kaira on these 2 poles, pasul, it is pasul. Now, that which we said a mavoi you put at the edge of the kaira on these poles is pasul. Hadad tema, that's all very well. But gavon shleisha, when the poles are more than 3 tvachim, lamala, because they're mavoi, they're extending 3 tvachim above the walls of the mavoi. You've got a gap of 3 tvachim until you have the kaira. If, however, they are within 3 tvachim from the walls of the mavoi, it's kosher. And also, even if it's above 3 and it's a problem, that's b'she'en b'hen roicha b'aba. If the poles are not 4 tvachim thick, but if b'hen roicha b'aba, I feel like going coming, no matter how high they are, it's kosher. Because when they are 4 tvachim thick, they have importance in their own right. And they're considered a continuation of the walls of the mavoi. You see? So then it's no problem. Now, there are other dinim of kosher b'sukkah and pasul b'mavoi. Defanos kesheres b'sukkah. You can have walls which are kosher b'sukkah, psulas b'mavoi. Let's see. Tani kevusalat. You've got a sukkah that's got shtayim, 2 walls. Kil chasan and shlishis. The third wall can be afilu tefach, even if tefach is kosher. Rabbi Yochanan, he said even shtayim shel abba tvachim. Imagine 2 walls of 4 tvachim. Each one has got a roiv of what you need. Remember, a sukkah is 7 by 7. Here we've got walls of 4 and 4. Right? I don't remember seeing this in Babylon or my side. 4 and 4. And you're imagining roiv, a lavud of another 3. And you need a lavud to add another 3. And that way you get 7. Well, shlish is a tefach kosher. The third wall, 1 tefach, is kosher. Whereas mavoi, however, is not kosher. It has to be surrounded from its 4 sides. Where you got walls on 3 sides and a kaira or lechi on the 4th side. Another example was kosher b'sukkah possible mavoi. Racham es amas. If the entrance is wider than 10 amas of a sukkah, then kashera, it is kosher. You only need 2 walls and a tefach. Mavoi, however, where the entrance is wider than 10, is possible. And even if it's got lechi or kaira at the entrance, as we said, if the entrance is wider than 10 amas, then lechi and kaira do not help. Okay? Suras of Pesach may help, possibly, but lechi and kaira do not help. Now, as far as sukkah is concerned, if you put on the schach like branches from the vine, that's the house of the pumpkin, but it's still connected to the ground, we put schach on it, it is possible, because the branches connected to the ground are possible schach. With mavoi, if it's covered over, the roof covered over with branches connected to the ground, that's fine. And adat table, that which we say, that a mavoi, where you put branches connected to the ground, is fine, that's only if our base is sign. If the area that they're covering is less than 2 base sign, 2 base up. Aval yosef base sign. If it's too big, then it's like an area which is surrounded for seeds, like a park that no one lives in, and then then you can only carry 4 amas in there. An area which is an area not surrounded, like Heaton Park, we have Rabbi Say here in Manchester, yeah? It's not in the Eruv because it's a much bigger area, and it's not made for living in. So it's the sake of the seeds, that's got a din of a kamalis. Chamasa meruba metzilasa. If the schach is more that you end up getting more shade than sun, sukkah pasul, in sukkah is pasul, mavo is kosher. Because whenever it's considered a mavo makura, because of lavud, whatever it is, it is. It is considered a mavo which is makura, even if there's more sun than shade. Sukkah, makaira. Now, a sukkah which has got a roof like that of a house, you use wooden planks and things like that, which are 4 tefachim wide. Well, there's a gzera, you can't use your big wooden planks for your sukkah roof, yeah? So that is psula. Whereas mavo makura, mavo in that fashion, is kosher. Rabbachav Shem Rabbi, makura, not only if the mavo is completely covered over with these things, it's kosher, and I feel it doesn't matter. You put 1 board on the entrance there, has a width of 4 tefachim, materis is a mavo, that allows the mavo. So even if it's more than 20 amas, a wide board, we said, if it's a wide board, 4 tefachim wide, that's noticeable even if you put it above 20 amas. Now, what's the halacha as far as the argument of Yehuda and the Chachamim? Rav Acha, Rav Chinna, Rav Kahana, ain't halacha of Yehuda. We don't pass them like Yehuda. Why? Why are you telling me this? So like him, what would you have thought? Why not Omrid? Rav Yehuda and Chachamim say halacha of Yehuda. You would have thought that halacha like Yehuda? That what, even 2 walls is enough and so on? Surely not. And Yochid Rav, you always follow the majority. Ella, he says, why I have to tell you halacha is not of Yehuda? Because begin on Rabbi Yaakov Bar Yishem Rav Shimon Levi. He said, halacha didn't make a Eruvin. You should be lenient when it comes to Eruvin. And maybe even an individual against the masses. So I tell you, the halacha is, that's why I need to tell you, that's why there was an understanding, maybe halacha is like Yehuda. Now, V'ama Rav Yitzchok bar Nachman. And he said, B'shem Rav Shua ben Levi. Halacha of Yechon ben Nuri. He said in the second argument, where Yechon ben Nuri argues in the Chachamim with Chum, but Makshinan Allah, they asked, like in Rabbi Yaakov Bar Yishem ben Levi, halacha didn't make it Eruvin. We should be lenient. But why is he saying halacha is like Rabbi Yechon ben Nuri? I mean, it's partial halacha is like him. He was lenient. So because, and the Bnei Yeshiva answered, he had to say halacha Rabbi Yechon ben Nuri because Sarvin Meima, you might have thought. Now he says you're following the more lenient one with Eruvin, and that's maybe 1 against 1. Yachid Eitzel Yachid. Yachid Eitzel Chacham, when it's 1 against the crowd, maybe we shouldn't be lenient. Therefore, Shubha Levi said, even though those who argue were the masses, were the rabbin. And also Asa, he came Rabbi Yaakov Baracha, Rabbi Yaakov Baridim, Shem Shubha Levi, Halach Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, and Vido Chachamim Chalukim Alav. Even in the case where the Chachamim argue with him. Right? This din is about, by the way, this argument is about Friday afternoon. No, Shabbos coming in. You get the tchum of 2,000 amas from where you were at that time. From that place you can walk to any side you want to be. And Rabbi Yochanan, they argue about someone who was sleeping when Shabbos came in. According to the Chachamim, you weren't awake. You didn't get a tchum. You can only go 4 amas. That's it. Whereas Rabbi Yochanan Nuri said, no, you're like every other person. Even though you were asleep, you have 2,000 amas in every direction from where you were. In one direction at least, yeah? And Shubha Levi Paskin, like Rabbi Yochanan Nuri. So that was the argument. So if you were asleep when Shabbos came in, when you wake up, you have 2,000 amas around you. But basically around you, you've got a circle of 2,000 amas. Yeah? Okay. Now here the argument of the Chachamim, we might have thought, maybe again we'll follow the halacha like the one who's lenient. That's why I have to tell you that no, the halacha is not like Yehuda. Now, we're going to say Shmuel Amar halacha about Mekel Eruvin. So Shmuel said you should be lenient with Eruvin. He says, do you mean that which we've learned? You got the bridges where you got the road going under the bridges. Where since the area is got a roof, is mukim mechitzas b'tikra. We imagine the roof extending downwards, the bridge extending downwards. The Chacham forbid it. They say we don't say b'tikra in this situation. Is this where we're saying the halacha is like the lenient one? Amalei says no, we're not in this. No, only on Eruvin, like the laws of bread that you put down for Eruv Chaseros or Eruv Techumin. Amati, that's when I said you should follow the lenient opinion. Because they don't have a source in the Torah. The whole thing is rabbinical. Right? And also as far as mechitzas, I said this, Klal, surely not. Because mechitzas have got the source from the Torah. Then we don't say we follow the lenient one. So the machlokes about the place under the bridge is not about Eruv, it's in mechitzas. If the area is considered mukum mechitzas, it's surrounded by walls or not. Do we say pi tikra? You follow? And these arguments, we don't necessarily follow the lenient opinion. Based on this, the Gemara explains the din of Kahana, Sava Kahana Kadod Shmuel. He wanted to say like Shmuel, that Allah is lenient in Eruvin with mechitzas. But from Ketzach Mema, to tell you this, he had to say, Ein Allah Rabbi Yehuda. Allah is not like Yehuda in our Mishnah. Even though Rabbi Yehuda is lenient, Allah is not like him. We did not say that Allah is not lenient one only with Hilchas Eruvin. Right? In the case of our Mishnah, about Korah higher than 20 amas, that belongs to Hilchas Mechitzas. And also, we said in our Mishnah, a mobile above 20 amas, bring it down. We said it was above 20. If it's exactly at 20, yeah, you have an exact door space area to walk through of 20, then kosher is okay. Rav, that fits in like Rav. The Rav Abasashir and Lahaka. He says when they paskin anything is kosher till a certain measure, the end of the measure is included in the heter. So when they paskin is kosher till 20, they meant 20 is also okay. Rabbi Yochanan, he said no. Sashir and Lahachmir. When they paskin the share, that's to be strict. That's ad loya bichlal in Bavli wording. And therefore, when they paskin until 20, it means only if it's less than 20. When it's exactly 20, it's a problem. If it's above 20, nice and a kaira, you take a bit of the kaira so that some of it should be b'toch esrim. So if you want to repair it, try and bring it down a bit so that a bit of it goes within 20 amas from the ground. And mamait, or you could reduce the space of the mavoi by lifting up the ground. You could raise the ground underneath the kaira. So now the ground has come up by a tefach, so now you don't have 20 amma gap there at the entrance. Right? Umamait, b'toch esrim, within 20 ammas on the ground. Providing the area which is under the 20 amas, should be enough for a kosher korah in its own right. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not kosher unless you've got a chelik choshuv, an important area within 20 amas from the ground. But if it's in the beginning, it was like at the end of 20, the mob is possible because the shiurin ala hachmik. Now Rochelkia Amar v'shem Rabacha. Afilu Karabasyahi. Now this is about where shiurim ala hakel. He agrees that actually, if it's 20, it's problem, it's apostle. So he says even according to Rav, this would fit in. That you need it to be within 20. Even according to Rav, who's usually lenient with Sof Shiurim. The Rav Amar, Rav says the Shechita. Now you know you have the two things to cut. You have the food pipe and the windpipe, right? And he said, now we usually have to do roiv of each. The majority of each one. Now he said, Shechita mechitza lemachsa. If you did half the Shechita, that's half the simonim, the kind of the beshet, it's kashera, it's kosher. Why does it say it's a problem? Now if you're going to tell me that it can be exactly 20 amas high, the person will think it's a bit above 20. And they'll think it's kosher even in that situation. So the person who sees it will end up putting a korah above 20. Therefore the Chachamim required the korah should be within 20. So even Rav agrees to this. It's got to be within 20 amas. Now we said if it's too high, 20, you can reduce it. You might. How do you do this case? And you might. I say it's the way you can make a sort of a platform, a raised platform on the ground. Al Pesach HaMavoy, and the platform raises the ground. So now the korah is not higher than 20 from that area. Mati HaMavoy, it has a mavoy. Kama Yeba. How wide does that area have to be? Ravachav Shem Ravashia. Abba Tzvachim, 4 Tzvachim. Kedei Mokom. That gives the place importance. Okay. Rabbi Yosef, he said Kedei korah. Sorry, tefach. 1 tefach, kedei korah, which is the share of a board. The board carrying across can be like a tefach wide, to put a brick on it, and the share of the korah that has to be underneath it, where the share is a tefach, and that way the korah is noticeable for people standing on that platform under the korah. That's good enough. So he's saying it just has to be a tefach. Chavrei Amrin, the Chachamim said that it should be kosher. It doesn't have to be any size. Because you don't have, by having a small increase in the ground, you don't have 20 amas on all the width of a tefach of the korah. Only a part of the share is within 20 amas. And that's already enough to be noticeable, for those standing on this platform under the korah. That's good enough. One area is a bit above, that's fine. Now we're going to discuss when the korah is below 10 tefachim. Okay, if it wasn't 10 tefachim high, the korah, you have to scratch away at the ground in order until you get a gap big enough to be more than 10. How much do you have to cut away, to make it kosher? Rabacha, we said Abba amas. It has to be the 4 amas going into the mavoy. Kedei mavoy. That's the smallest share possible for a mavoy. It has to be 4 amas. Rabbi Yosef Amar, he says, no, it's got to be about tzvachim. It has to be going into the mavoy 4 tzvachim. Kedei mokom, that's a significant place. And through that, the korah above that choshev place of the mavoy, that's good enough. That's enough for the tikkun of the mavoy. Yeah? So he's saying 4 tzvachim is enough. Okay. Now, after the discussion on a mavoy, through, scratching it out to make up the share, we want to talk about making a ditch, even without a korah. Let's see. Rabbi Yaakov Arachav, Rabbi Yosef Shem Rabbi Yochanan. Aisa charitz al Pesach HaMavoy. If you make a charitz, you make a ditch in the ground, al Pesach HaMavoy, at the entrance of the Mavoy, Omo Kasora. So it is 10 tefachim deep, V'rachav Arba, and 4 tefachim wide, or Matir HaMavoy. And through that, you can allow the Mavoy. He says here, this ditch is like a lechi standing at the entrance of the mavoy. Because good asik mechitza. We bring the mechitza upwards. When there's a mechitza 10 high, we can imagine it's coming upwards. But this is again. So Oisa Charitz, you make a sort of a ditch or a thing in the ground, al Pesach HaMavoy, Amakasara, 10 tefachim deep, V'rachav Arba, or Matzeh HaMavoy. Through that you can allow the mavoy. Because the walls are extending upwards, yeah? Bein b'bifnim, whether you did it within the walls of the mavoi bein b'chutz, or whether you did it outside the walls of the mavoi. But who? That which we said, that when the charitz is beyond the mavoi, is considered mechitza for the mavoi, providing shehei b'tach shloisha, it has to be within 3 tvachim, l'kais le'amavoi, to the walls of the mavoi, then it's considered connected to the mavoi with din of lavud. It can't be right in the middle of the entrance, it has to be close to the mavoi. Now, we had an argument tonight about a kaira where it doesn't reach. It's in a brisa actually. There is an argument. We haven't had it yet. There is an argument in a brisa where the kaira doesn't reach the walls on both sides. According to the Chachamim, only if the beam, or the stick, as it were, within 3 tochim, then it's mechuba within lavud. We extend it across. It's going to be within 3 tochim. According to Yerushalmi Gamliel, even if it's close to the wall within 4 tvachim, it's still considered lavud. So here, let's see. So it could be in our case, everyone agrees, lavud means 3 tvachim. So afilu k'man dama tamam. Even the one who said in the brisa there, that a kaira is connected to a wall, even if it's close to it within a bar, he agrees here that the charitz, this ditch, has to be within 3 tvachim of the wall, because tamam, there the kaira, remember, is maybe chutz lamavoi. It's not necessarily in a place where people walk. It's above the walls of the mavoi. But here, the charitz is b'toich mavoi. This ditch is within the mavoi. It's in the area that people walk by. So if Shem Gamliel agrees, it's not considered connected to the wall unless it's close to the kaisel within 3 tvachim. But if there's a more 3 tvachim gap, it's not connected to the wall because everyone passes there, the animals and so on. And the kid goats get through as well. Now another way to rectify a mavoi, if you make a wall at the entrance 10 tvachim high, 4 tvachim wide, that can allow the mavoi, whether you built it within the mavoi, or whether you built it outside, within 3 tvachim of the mavoi. Because then it's got the same din as the ditch. If you had a mound, a little hill of earth at the entrance to the mavoi, which is at least 10 tvachim high. If the the incline is so great that basically is not so great, so it doesn't reach a height of 10 tvachim over 3 amas, so that's 10 over 20, 10 over 18, so roughly 1.8 incline, if it doesn't reach that, then it's easy to walk on. So that's not considered a wall. Therefore, sarech kaira, then you need a kaira at the entrance to allow you to carry. You don't have a proper mechitza in front of you. Bim lav. But if it's steeper, so that within 3 hours, which is 18 tvachim, you'll reach a height of 10 tvachim, then the tail is considered a mechitza, but ain't sarech, you don't need a kaira to allow a mother. Some say no, you don't need 10 over 18, but even 10 over 24, if it's a height of 10 mitach arba, within 4 hours, which is 24, if that's the case, then if it doesn't reach that, it's not mechitza, but if it reaches that within 4 hours, it's considered mechitza, and you don't need a kaira to allow the mavoi. Mandama, the one who said mitach sholosh, is within 3 hours, that is Rabbana. Mandama mitach arba, the 4 hours, that is Rameh, the view of Rameh. Haya mundara, if you had a mundaron, which is like is a slant again, it's like a slant, like in between. So you've got the street and you've got the mavoi and you've got a ramp going between. So the actual alley is divided between a street level and it's got a ramp going down and you've got a mavoi level. So if you had one of these ramps, the emsam mavoi in the middle of the alleyway, for those who are above, nidam shum charitz, then that slant can be treated as a wall to them. It's 10 tvachim, like a ditch, and that can be a stopping point for them. But for the people who are down below, then mishum gada, that can be a wall for them because it reaches that height. So even though people walk on it, but it reaches that height within that incline, it's considered a wall in their respect. Haracha me'esa amas you might. If it's more than 10 hours, you have to reduce it. Case of my mind, how do you reduce it? No, it's a maltra pesach above. Either you put a little board on the floor, a pas is what it's called, a piece of wood, a wide piece of wood at the entrance, above it, matzah the mobby and down the mobby. Now, which we have said, that you're reducing the width of the mavoi, that's when you're putting a kaira at the width of the mavoi, and it reduces the width. The Rabbanan Abdullah, they treated this Kaira to allow your wide doorway, your wide entrance, afilu b'gavoya, even if you put it above the entrance, and even though the width of the Pesach remains more than 10, but the Kaira above the entrance also allows the Mavoi. So they're saying even if it's above the entrance. Now surely, this doorway wider than 10, even if you put a multra, you put a little board there, it's still open. And especially the one on top, you put one on top. Well, how does that stop you? You've got a massive doorway there. It doesn't reduce the width at all. How does this multra, this board on top, how does it help you? It doesn't allow you to make a door wider than 10 amas. How is it helping? So he says, well, it's 4 tefachim wide. Therefore, Nasis Kef Sadra, then it's like a roof on pillars without walls where you can carry underneath. Because the edge of the wall is yored, it comes down, and it makes a proper mechitza. So here as well, this board is like a tikra, and we say pi tikra, it extends down as if there's a proper mechitza here at the entrance of the mavoi. Okay? Rebbe Matib al Sadra Bebeis Shorai. Rebbe allowed carrying in a sort of a porch in a Beis Shorai where basically it was pi tikra, again, this idea of extending down. Kama Mudinoba, how many poles, pillars were there in this porch? Rabbi Yaakov Baracha Amar Rabbi Yisa, they argue. Chadam one said Shisha, there were 6 poles from every side, but Chadam one said Shmona, there were 8 poles, or 8 pillars. Rabbi Yaakov Baracha, well, they're not arguing. Madam Shisha, one is 6, he's not considering the 2 on the outside, like the corner which the roof is standing on them. He only catches the 6 in the middle. Mandama, the one is said Shmona, he's including the 2 outer ones together with the 6. That makes 8. Okay. Until now, we understood that these pillars were there. The head of the Gemara says, right, how many pillars do you need? The Gemara says, actually, we don't need all these pillars. Rabbi Yaakov Barach, B'Shem Rabbi Lazar, you don't really need 6. You don't really need 8. And then when Rabbi Baikinba, if all the masses just come through this thing from one side to the other, then I feel cover you. So no matter how many you have, I'm afraid it's not going to help you. Because the rabbim come and cancel any mechitzas. You made a rabbim Baikinba, if the masses don't come in, you just have 2 on each side. You must try to be permitted. And this was the story. Well, then, even though the Maisa Rebbe, there might have been 8, but that was the story that happened then. It could be even without all these. Rebbe would still allow it. Okay, Rabbi Isaac, we'll stop here.